Here I'm going to talk about your career-focused essay assignment. Now we're going to be working on this essay over the next few weeks. So although I'm showing you the instructions here at the beginning of the module, you are not going to start writing it yet. We're going to go through a few assignments first to build up to this essay, so keep that in mind. But this gives you an idea of where your essay is eventually going to go. And you might want to keep that in mind too as we're doing the next few assignments. So what you're going to do is choose a career of your choice. Obviously, if you're at this college or plan on going to a university someday with a very specific field in mind, then you're going to research that career field. So maybe you've already decided, I want to be an educator. Then you're going to do your research on being a teacher. If you haven't decided yet, then this is an opportunity for you to explore an idea you might have. Okay, so for instance, you might think, well, I have no idea what I want to do, but I'm really into watching like crime documentaries and CSI, and maybe I want to be a crime scene investigator. I mean, I just feel like I would really enjoy that. I love digging in, looking for clues and figuring things out and helping people. I've only seen it on TV, but it's something I want to maybe explore. Then use that to explore with this paper. Or maybe you might be thinking, well, my mom is a nurse and, she works really hard, but she loves her job and we're a lot alike. So maybe I would enjoy being a nurse too. So you can perhaps, take some ideas that you have and focus on one idea for this paper and just give yourself an opportunity to dig into it and learn more about that career. So once you've decided on the career you're going to do for this paper, you want to take a look here at these requirements, and let me kind of walk you through what your paper is eventually going to end up being. Now, first of all, this essay is going to be 4 total paragraphs: an intro, 2 body paragraphs, and a conclusion. The minimum length is 600 or more words from the first word of the introduction to the final word of the conclusion, so it will not include the works cited page at the end. The MLA documentation style is required, so don't use APA or other styles. You have to use MLA throughout. Keep in mind that research is required, and if you do not document your research, that is considered plagiarism and your paper will not be graded. So make sure that you include all of the documentation. And remember, you can always get help with that. You can always send me your work. I'll be happy to check it for you. We also have tutors available. You need to use you should have a minimal use of direct quotes, and that's where you put quotes around word for word content taken directly out of a source. In other words, at all times, whenever possible, you should rewrite what you've read into your own words and then put a citation after that paraphrase. Okay, so even though you're changing the words, you still have to document always where it comes from. Now, you also need a minimum of 2 sources from our college database. You can use additional sources if you want to, but I do not recommend you use internet sources unless you have them checked by me first. Again, to meet the requirements of the essay, you have to have at least 2 sources from the database, and our future assignments are going to walk you through how to get those, and I'm even going to show you the best place to look. The third person should be used in paragraphs 1, 2, and 3. Paragraph 4 is the only place you may switch to the first person I, because it is a reflective wrap-up. And then I provided a structure for you below. Now the essay structure here is basically a template. It's kind of like a rough outline of what you're going to have in each section of your essay. And you do get to make a couple of decisions as you develop it. Again, we're not getting to writing the rough draft yet. That's going to be in the future. But here you can see exactly what you're going to be looking for. Now, the introduction is going to do the following. First, you got to state the career that your paper is going to cover. Give statistics on the career, such as the educational requirements, the pay, career growth, all that data-driven information that people may want to know about that career. You also want to include a thesis statement as the last sentence of that introduction. Also, keep in mind you want to use current statistics. Again, if you're going through with the research assignment later and going to my recommended places to look, that won't be an issue. This section should be about 4 to 5, maybe 6 sentences total. You don't want a huge introduction. Typically, the rule of thumb for a good essay is that the size of your intro paragraph should be about half the size of one of your body paragraphs. And the same thing goes for the conclusion. It should be about half the size of one of your body paragraphs, and body paragraphs should all be about the same size so that you have a nice visual structure for your essay. Now, for paragraph 2, you actually get 2 options to talk about. You can either talk about traits, which is what are the personality traits that make a successful person in your chosen career. So for instance, you're going to talk about, in this case, if your career choice was a nurse, what qualities are needed to be a good nurse? Or for example, if you're talking about wanting to be a teacher, then you need to start talking about what are the qualities of a good teacher. For instance, a person who is a good teacher needs to have a good amount of patience, right? Patience is one of those personality traits that are just necessary for a good teacher. And then you could talk about why patience is needed. And you can discuss several different traits. Again, you do need to include research in either section 2 or section 3. So that might be a good place for you to incorporate some research from the database. Now, if you don't want to talk about traits, you can then also choose this option instead. You can talk about why is this career needed for our society? What does it contribute? Where would we be without them? Okay, so that's kind of more of a bigger picture kind of discussion. Again, research can also contribute to this. You can, for instance, include a mixture of research and your opinions. That's okay, but again, no first person I. Include MLA documentation wherever research occurs so that it's apparent that you got that information from somewhere and there are no plagiarism problems. For the third paragraph of the essay, you are going to talk about an inspirational figure in that field. Now, that could be a famous person from history, for instance. It could be that you learned about someone in your history course who, created this field or was a significant part of that field, and then maybe you want to talk about that historical figure. Or you can also talk about an inspirational figure who is still alive and working today. Maybe you want to be a doctor and there's a doctor out there that you really look up to, that you really respect as being like the epitome of a great doctor. That person could be famous, or that person could be someone who is just personally significant to you. Maybe that doctor is your dad, and you find that your dad as a doctor is just really inspirational and just kind of the epitome of a good doctor. So you can choose any person, either past or in the present, someone you know or don't know, who is working in that field that you want to talk about why they are such a good example of someone in that career. Just keep in mind that you still can't use first person I, even if you know the person. So instead of saying the doctor that I want to discuss is my dad, John Smith, you want to take the I out of it and talk about your dad as though he was a professional that you did not personally know. So you could rephrase that into something like, a doctor that is a great example for doctors everywhere is Dr. John Smith of Clearwater, Florida. So you want to make sure you just keep it third person from the paragraph 1 all through paragraph 3. Again, if you used research, of course, you want to include MLA documentation. Now, the final paragraph of the essay is the wrap up. Here is where you can make it a little more personal. You can shift to that first person I and talk about why you have chosen or why you are interested in this field. Again, it should be a wrap up, basically going over the big ideas, but also kind of giving your own feelings about that career, why it may be the right fit for you. Again, it shouldn't be terribly long, 4 to 5 sentences. Basically, again, about half the size of a body paragraph. So that's the overview of the future essay. Again, we're going to construct this essay in parts, so don't jump straight into it. But at any time when you're working on this essay, you can, of course, send me your work and I'll check it for you.